going to start talking. Hello, and welcome to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show, where presence invites perspective and allows peace. We are live on newstreamingnetwork.com TV, podcast, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Radio. Today's topic is Focus on the More with my special guest, Kris Burke.
Hey, Judy. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Now, before we roll into the show, if you are enjoying our content, find it entertaining and helpful, please be sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with who we introduced earlier, our special guest, Ms. Kris Burke. Thank you so much for saying yes, so I didn't have to do a solo show this week because
it was a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
I reached out to Kris on Monday, and I was like, hey, want to do the show with me Thursday so I don't have to do it by myself? And she just sent back a smiley face. And I was like, uh-oh, is that a yes or a no?
I know. How did a smiley face seem like a no to you?
It was that fear in my brain.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. So our topic is focus on the more. I'm excited to dig into that. You and I have been talking about that quite a bit lately.
Yes,
and usually Janice has her singing bowl, one of her crystal bowls that she'll bring us in. Is there any technique you would like to use to bring us all present?
I think maybe just three really nice breaths, just to like really fill your lungs up and then let it out, like really let it out. So just
I just heard audibly let it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
One more. Yeah, it's so good. Feel your brain get super oxygenated. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That was perfect. Thank you very much. I actually have written down breath work. So you read my mind.
That's a whole other show.
Exactly. All right. So as we said, Janice isn't with us today because she has to work a real job. And so I will take care of her message. She always likes to reiterate the fact that we are here because we love to spend time with our viewing audience. And we hope that the information that we share with you helps you move through your life with more ease and grace. This show is a part of Peaceful Empowerment Works, which is a nonprofit. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, which means if you are so guided to make a donation, it is tax deductible. So if you would like to support us and sharing our message, please go to our website, peacefulempowermentworks.org, and you will find a donation button at the top of the page and at the bottom of the page. All right.
Excellent.
Excellent. All right, we're going to move on.
You need footsteps for people running there. Sorry. You need the sound of footsteps for people running over to Peaceful Empowerment Works to make their donation.
That's funny. We could have somebody jog across the screen.
Yeah.
And push a button.
Exactly.
Okay. Our good news story today actually comes from Jen. This is sent to us from Clark. I looked at her last night and said, I need a good news story. What you got? She was like, oh, I was sitting on this one. I saw it earlier. She saw it earlier yesterday morning. And there is a man named Hunter Metzger who lives in Ephrata, Pennsylvania. And unfortunately, they had to put their beloved dog down, and they ordered the last meal for Iris, is their dog's name, through Texas Roadhouse. And they did it online. And in the memo or message section, they said, it's our beloved puppy's last meal. Please prepare it with love. Yeah. And, Jen, You and I have been talking about it's okay to be soft. She likes to read these gut-wrenching stories to me to see if she can make me cry. She got a little twisted sense of humor. So she's
Excellent.
like, yeah. So like last night when she was like, I got the perfect one for you. First of all, Ephrata, Pennsylvania isn't too far from us. We love to go there. There's a creamery there that we like to go and get ice cream. So Maddie loves that spot too. So shout out to Ephrata and the Texas Roadhouse in Pennsylvania. Hunter actually posted this, so I'm just going to go ahead and read his post because me summarizing won't do it justice. Right. I would like to give a shout out and a big thank you to the Ephrata Texas Roadhouse. We laid our sweet pup to rest last night, and for her last meal, we got her a steak dinner from Texas Roadhouse. When I ordered online, I put our dog's last meal, prepare with love, in a special request field. Not only did the restaurant not let me pay for the meal, the wonderful employees took the time to write a note on the top of the container and a message on the back of the receipt, and also offered their condolences in person when I picked up the food. And he said that kind of customer service and demonstrated compassion sets this Texas Roadhouse team a level above the rest. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So yes, they wrote on top of the container, made with love, and drew hearts on it. And then on the bag, the team members that prepared the meal, wrote personal messages to them as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know? So thanks for making me cry, Jen.
I know, Jen. Thanks a lot. It's a tearful, feel-good story.
It is. It's beautiful. Yeah.
So yes, there's kindness, compassion, and respect out there, people. And we love to highlight it. So if you're in the Ephrata area and you're craving some Texas Roadhouse, tell them you heard about their story on the show and share your gratitude, because that's outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a beautiful act of kindness. Yes. And I actually made it through without crying. So there you go, Jen.
That's pretty good. I was like, make it stop.
Exactly. That's why I couldn't look at you. I had to keep looking down and reading.
Good thinking. Oh, yeah.
Affirmation, our weekly affirmation. This one is so me. Janice is gone for a week and I act up. Okay, so weekly affirmation is, if it doesn't help me glow, grow, or flow, it's a no.
That's great.
Rhyming always helps me.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah.
Yep. If it doesn't help me glow, grow, or flow, it's a no.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
It. Yeah. It's been coming through a lot for clients that, you really, it's a time where we need to be very selective as to what we do and what we don't do. And if it's not creating the life that you want to create, then don't do it.
Right.
And Kris and I, it's funny, it's like we could sit here now and make that sound so easy, but we've been through it. It's not easy.
No.
Not at all.
It's worth it. What we can say is it's worth it. It's worth the effort.
Always. It is always worth it. So. All right. Pearls of wisdom for this week. This was another one. I was like, this is spot on what you and I have been talking about. So I had to use it. If you want to reach a state of bliss, then go beyond your ego and the internal dialogue. Make a decision to relinquish the need to control, the need to be approved, and the need to judge. Those are the three things the ego is doing all the time. It's very important to be aware of them every time they come up. And when we talk about taking responsibility for your life, it's about checking the ego.
It is. And I remember people talking about ego and me not understanding what that meant. Like, it used to make me really stressed out and angry, because I'd be like, well, I didn't know the difference between the ego and me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It just because the voice ran all the time, beating the crap out of me, telling me what I had to do, what I couldn't do, what I should have done. And I found this helpful over time if it was talking about something um, in the past or something in the future, right? And it was telling me that what I did was different than like what happened in the past or what was going to happen needed to be different than forecast. It
Mm-hmm.
was my ego,
Mm.
right? Because your ego doesn't imagine things. Ego talks about the past and forecasts the past into the future and blames you for everything.
Yes. Yes.
Or other people, right? I mean, it's always blaming somebody. Somebody's always at fault. And yeah.
Yeah. Somebody else's or something else's fault.
Uh-huh.
And I found with my ego, you said the constant beatings and beatings and beatings, and that was all I knew
Mhm.
from, yeah, and then you take psych classes and you learn about big ego and little ego and all, and it really didn't make a lot of sense to me until I started diving into this kind of work. And I
Mhm.
had a spiritual teacher, Katie Anna, said, there's a difference between how soul speaks to you, heart speaks to you, and ego, immature ego.
Mhm.
And, if it's not uplifting, supporting, inspiring, or truth, then it's not your soul. That's your ego. Because your ego will speak to you in any manner it has to keep you in a safe little box. And that
Yes.
means degrading you, shaming you, blaming you. It's going to do whatever it has to do to keep you there because its job is to keep you safe until it learns something else.
Right. And justifying its version of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if somebody had said to me, like, you need to get in touch with the truth, like you need to be able to get in touch with the truth and live your truth, I am,
Exactly.
right? Because my ego was spinning all kinds of stories all the time
Mm-hmm.
and then justifying how it was right.
Exactly.
I didn't know the difference between the ego needing to be right and truth.
Right. And that's a big difference.
Mhm.
It's a big difference. And when we talk a lot about rewiring the brain and bringing on healthier practices. And we even dove into addiction and how, we've been focused on addiction being bad, but there
Right.
can be healthy addictions as well. And,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
and that
exactly.
it's learning the source of what I'm hearing right now. It's about learning the source of that internal dialogue. That's why it's
Right.
so important to be able to discern, is this leading me in the direction of the life I desire?
Mhm.
Or is this keeping me in a little box to keep me where I am?
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right. Yeah. Well, does it make you glow, flow, or
or grow. Yeah.
grow?
Glow, grow, or flow.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Another rhyme, and there you go.
Oh, fantastic. All right. We get to bump right into Pathways to Peace. And you all, Kris has been on the show, Be Here Now, before. Kris and I also did the podcast together for the first season, as I call it.
Mhm.
And we can go back to that other slide. So there we go. There she is. See how I use math. I tried to use some MU logo colors.
Excellent. It's
Wanted to
beautiful.
make Beth proud.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who are meeting Kris Burke for the first time, Kris is the heart behind Masterful U, a safe place for women to shift from, I'm sorry. Why did I separate these things like this? Okay, a safe place for women to shift from restless and run down to loving life again. She teaches the processes she used to align with the natural feminine approaches to challenges and opportunities. Her joy is to reignite women's passion for life's adventure guiding them to trust their intuition and grow the security and satisfaction they crave in their lives and our world. Kris, an MBA holder, intuitive shaman, and animal lover, is not just a transformation facilitator, but also a wife and an empty nester. She resides in the picturesque Vermont, a place that reflects her love for nature and tranquility. Yeah,
And deep
it's fun.
snow.
And deep, deep snow.
Deep snow. Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's funny. I'm thinking, why did I break these up? Like, we were doing a lot of work on learning to blog and things like that. Janice and I are. So the whole time I was reading through this, I'm thinking, I broke that up because I keep being told people don't like to read, and putting it in short snippets makes it easier on the eyes. So
Right. Yes.
that's why.
It's true. It's true.
Okay. Well, again, Kris, thank you so much for choosing to be here now with us. And when we talk about focus on the more, where did that come from?
Huh. Yeah, it's actually a really cute story that when I was a child, my mother would give me a glass of water and I would drink it, and then she would say, "Do you want more?" And so one day we're driving along and there's water. We're on a land bridge and there's water on both sides of the car. And I look out the window and say, "Oh, Mom, look at all that more." And she, of course, burst out laughing because I had concluded that water was called more. Right? Yeah, but I always remembered that story. You get lots of childhood stories shared with you, and I always remembered that one. It stuck out as meaningful. And as we've been talking lately about this transformation that we're going through, and how do you live more from soul? One of the things that popped in was that soul is all about the more, right? Always about the more. It's like, this is so great, and let's even have more. How can we make it a little more meaningful, a little more enjoyable, a little more prosperous, a little more connected, right? So
Mm-hmm.
soul is always saying, how can we take what is and make it even more exciting and delightful? And most of us, I mean, that sounds like um, sacrilege, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a world where we're always focused on problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that we have actually learned, for what, variety of reasons, to take the problems in our life, our diets, our debts, our depression, our anxiety, our addictions, like whatever the things are. And we've learned to focus on them and blow them up so that they take all of our mental, emotional space. Um, and that this, focus on the more is actually, why don't we just like let those things be what they are and focus on the things that we love, that we want more of, and just expand that in our thinking and feeling and doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I love the story. I could just see you as a little girl, your eyes getting huge, like wow.
Whoa. Yes. And actually, it's the right energy. That's exactly the right energy when we start to look at the world and see the possibilities. Like, see the unlimited number of opportunities that we have to add a little dash of something more to our
Yes.
lives, something that makes our experience just that much richer. Um, it's like, wow, how would you ever even decide? Like, it's so amazing how much more there is.
Yes. Yes. And it's funny when you were talking. Well, who was that chef? The Bam would add the spice and go Bam. There was a
Yeah.
chef. I don't, not coming to mind, but that's what I kept seeing. Yes, it's like, look up. What do you want? Bam. Add some of this. Bam. Add some of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And spice mix is such a great analogy because it's not about, people think like about destinations, about, the end point. And I said to someone yesterday, like, if you look at life at the end point, you're old and tired.
Yes.
So why are we so focused on getting there? Like, let's, as the show name says, like, let's be here now. Let's focus on where do I want to use my energy,
Mhm.
right? And if I focus on how can I make this experience that I'm having right now even more meaningful, even more lovely, then as I go along, my life's just going to keep getting better and better. And sure, like when I get down the road, I'm going to be in a better place because I built a better place as I went.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that's not even getting into the physical effects joy and happiness has on your body.
Yeah,
Really keeps you healthier.
absolutely. I mean, we've probably all heard this a million times, but it's true and bears repeating. Disease is dis-ease. It's
Yes.
the absence of ease.
Mm-hmm.
Stress has been known for going back way before we ever got here to
Yes.
be at the root of virtually all disease.
Yes. Absolutely. This is a great place for us to take a quick commercial break. And we'll be back with Kris to talk more about focus on the more. The more with Kris.
Excellent.
In the commercial, I love it. Welcome back to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show. We are with our special guest, Kris Burke, and we are talking about focusing on the now.
Mm-hmm.
Before we went into break, we were talking about the effects of joy and happiness on the body and how it's been proven that all illness is based in a dis-ease.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you and I have talked a lot about the war on.
Yeah.
Would you like to dive into that for our viewers?
I won't dive in, but I'll skim across the top because, like, and let me tell you, fasten your seatbelts. So I just got this intuitive hit. I've noticed this over the years, but have you noticed that we have a lot of wars in this country? The war on poverty, the war on obesity, the war on cigarettes, but it's not called that. The war on tobacco, I think. The war on disease, like all of these wars that are literally being declared by presidents. I sat down the other day and I started looking it up, and Lyndon B. Johnson declared a war on poverty. And I started looking at the statistics over the years, and I was like, it's so clear that every single thing that where we've declared a war on it has gotten worse, like big time worse. Exponentially worse over the years. And it's kind of hard to see, like the statistics. It was Einstein who said, no. It was, I'm not going to think of Mark Twain. Mark Twain said the thing about statistics is that you can make them say whatever you want them to say. The quote isn't that, but that's the essence of it. And so when I started looking at the statistics, I realized that, it said in 2023, I think it was, that a household of 9 people needed $23,000 a year to be above the poverty level.
That's unbelievable to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, where? And these were a US statistic. So over time, they're saying, oh, yeah, no, poverty's been okay, except that when you look at the numbers, you find out that there's no way a family of 9 is living on the little amount of money that they're saying they need to have, right, to be above the poverty level. So if you keep the ceiling, the numbers low enough, it looks like, oh, things aren't that much worse. But we all know the truth. We know it is worse. Poverty is worse.
Yes.
I know a lot of people living in poverty who worked hard their whole lives and followed the rules,
Yes.
right? And did the things they were supposed to do,
Mhm.
that went into jobs where they'd have a pension, where they'd be guaranteed health insurance, all of these things. And then over time, these things have been taken away, pulled back. You have to contribute more to this. You don't get as, there are different ways that poverty kind of starts reaching into your pocket and expanding.
Mhm.
And so, that was the first one. I could be wrong, but I think it was Lyndon B. Johnson, 1971, declaring a war on poverty. You can see that right on Wikipedia.
Mhm.
Um, but all of these wars on disease, whatnot, we know they're all bigger problems today. They've all expanded. And one of the things that I realized is in my own life, and Judy and I talk about this, in my own life, what I focus on is like what I give sunshine to, right? It's like a seed of the ideas. Imagine that the ideas are like seeds, right? And your mind is like a garden. And what we put our attention on is like what we're shining the sun on. And what we shine the sun on, it's going to grow,
Yep.
right? So if I focus on poverty, and we had to learn this in order to transform our own experiences, we both grew up in lack environments, right? If I want to grow prosperity in my life, I need to be thinking prosperity. I need to be focused on prosperity. I need to be shining my thoughts on prosperity. I need to
Mhm.
be giving that my attention. If I'm focusing on poverty and what a problem poverty is in my life, I'm going to grow poverty. And I know not only from personal experience, but from global experience.
Yeah, absolutely. The global influence is huge too,
Huge.
because that's a rut that you get stuck in.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, it's so well manicured, that rut. Makes it
Yes.
really easy to flow in that poverty stream because it's so well seasoned.
Yes, and when you start talking about prosperity, I mean, people who don't have money, as much money as they need or want or whatever the case is, or who have um, bad feelings about it, which I did for a lot of years of my life. As soon
Yep.
as you start talking about prosperity, they think you've lost your mind.
Mhm.
Like prosperity's unicorn talk. And it's like, you know what? If we were all talking, I would stake my life on this, and I am not kidding. This is not an exaggeration. If we all started focusing on prosperity and talking about prosperity, we would all start feeling prosperous and doing prosperous things. And before we knew it, poverty would sound like bullshit.
Exactly.
Nobody would believe it in anymore.
No, and as you're talking about doing prosperous things, I heard doing the things that we love.
Yes.
The days of working a job that you hated because the pension's good, but what did the government has the ability to manipulate pensions anywhere. There's no guarantee that it's going to be there.
Right.
So, and yes, you live in a family where, and you grow up in a society where, you work. You just do what you got to do to make money and pay the bills. And then when you retire, that's when you get to have fun.
Right.
There were so many people that I worked with in education that once they hit retirement, either they got serious illness once they retired or they died.
Right.
And I'd look at that and I'd think, what the hell am I doing? Why
Right.
am I waiting?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's not adding up. Uh-uh.
Hmm.
What they're telling you is bullshit.
Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
is. And it's interesting because I mean, how you think about government or what their role is, right? I mean, it can be anywhere on a big spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know the way I look at it personally is like if I notice presidents are declaring wars on certain social economic problems, and those problems are getting bigger and bigger, and I notice that, and I'm able to say, gee, maybe we should change our focus and use a different approach, then I got to believe that the people who spend trillions of dollars every year probably freaking know it too.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's just, and I invite conversation. Like I would invite people to say, no, that's not true. You know, they just, it's just an act of ignorance. But how can that, like, I would really like to hear how that could be if somebody has um, a really good, you know, I'm going to use the word argument for how it could be. Because I've heard over time that, you know, governments are supposed to solve problems. Like citizens need governments to solve problems. That's what our paradigm has been.
Hmm.
And if the problems were solved, I mean, if we actually helped people to get what they need and to know how to be their own authority and to create lives that worked, you know, what happens to crime? What happens to disease? Like these things go away because who needs them?
Yep.
They're not reactions to the fact that we're being kept in lives. And by kept, I mean like constraining ourselves because we're so focused on the things that aren't working that we can't turn our attention to the things that we want and grow them.
Exactly. Exactly. And that, you know, we talk about Janice's gratitude video that she does every day. That's something that she launched because she wanted to see the more.
Yes.
We didn't know that it, you know, we had this nice story to go along with it, but she wanted more. She wanted to be able to open her eyes to more to be grateful for in her own life.
Yes.
And, you know, people that have been watching the show consistently have noticed the shift in her.
Mhm.
And, you know, so it's a working example of this is real. The way you think, where you focus, you know, I was laughing a little bit when you were telling your story about the more, because the more has been in play the whole time. It
Yes.
just your focus is. So when
Absolutely.
I'm focused on all the struggle in my life and you know, I just went through a shifting period, a transitional period the past couple of weeks because there's been a lot of change around the house. It's all been good, but it's been overwhelming because it's getting rid of things attached to I will just say the old me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so focused on the more of what I was losing that I wasn't allowing myself to embrace all the beautiful new
Right.
and that light, fresh energy of new. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was in my head and mind fucking myself for at least a week and a half, 2 weeks until I was finally like, okay, am I done?
Right. Right.
Am I
Right.
finished? But I was
Yes.
focused on that more. And then I made the choice to focus on the beauty of the new.
Right.
And it's completely shifted everything. And all those things I was so scared to let go of, it was time to set them free.
Mm-hmm.
They had served me well, but now it's time to move on. So that
Yeah.
focusing on the bad more kept me all crazy and confused for weeks
Right.
until I was
Which,
like,
yeah, which is actually like a less thing, right? Because we're focusing on what we think we're losing
mm-hmm.
and not focusing on the more that we're gaining.
Yes.
Right? So as we let go of things, the interesting thing is as we let go of things or people or situations, they are simultaneously letting go of us.
Yes.
So we are free to move on to the more, the
Yeah.
things that we're not aligned with, like that just wouldn't fit in a life, you know, the three little pigs. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
either living in the straw house or you're living in the brick house, but you're not living in both.
Right. Right. And I do feel like there was a time when you could straddle and
Well,
dance
I
back
think
and
this,
forth.
and I'd almost say it's the stick house.
The stick, there you go. You can't do it anymore.
No, and I think we were living in the stick house, and the stick house was a huge upgrade to the straw house,
Yes.
right? But at some point, you're like, yeah, it's still not really where it's at.
Mm-mm.
We want the fireplace, you know, we want to be able to cook over the stove. Like we want more, and it's not. And when I say more, like it's not the physical stuff, not that there's anything wrong with wanting more physical stuff. It's like wanting more depth of experience.
Yes.
right? More connection, more vitality, more aliveness,
Hmm.
more freedom. Like we want to feel and experience more.
Yes. Yes. More joy, more happiness, more of the good things. It's not to
Yeah.
say that there still aren't challenges, but the focus is more of the things that light us up.
Hmm.
And that's so important. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had a client Tuesday, and what the message was for her was it may be good enough for them, but it doesn't mean it has to be good enough for you. It's okay to want more. It's
Yes.
okay to want more. Yeah,
Yeah.
over and over and over again. So we were talking about permission. Sometimes people feel they need permission. Kris and I are giving you permission to want more of the good.
Yes. Yes. And to invite that into your life, you don't have to know how. I mean, this is one of the amazing things about our attention. When we focus our attention on what it is that we want more of, and we say to ourselves, I'm going to allow myself to have this more,
Mhm.
it will appear. I mean, it might be a video you see on YouTube or, elsewhere. It might be somebody you overhear somebody in the grocery store talking about something, and you're like, "What? I didn't know there was a place that does that just down the road from me." Like
Mhm.
whatever it is, but when you decide and you set that intention, you'll find the path to what it is that you want more of.
Mhm. Yeah. It's funny. I'm laughing because I just went through the big trauma of having to trade in my car of 14 years.
Right.
And you took me to, for weeks, I have been saying, I align with the highest timeline where confidence and humility allows me to be 100% authentically me. And all of the emotional attachments that I had with that car, because there was so much healing that went on in that car on my way to and from work. There were so many life experiences with Maddie that I was holding on to. The universe knew the only way I would get rid of her is if there was a rusted frame or something that would make her not pass inspection. And that
Hmm.
is exactly what happened. So you
Yep.
saying that just triggered that. Well, that's again another situation where I've been asking for it, but I didn't really know how it was all going to unfold.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's one of the things about, are there good things happening or bad things happening? And it's like each thing that's happening is moving you along on your path.
Yep.
And if we're focused on toward what you're focused on,
Mm-hmm.
if we're focused on the pains and traumas and disappointments of the past, we'll actually be on a path to getting more of that.
Yep.
Not as punishment,
Mm-mm.
but just to help us see, oh my gosh, I'm focusing in a direction that's causing me more trauma, that's
Mm-hmm.
causing me more pain, right? It's like we learn to collect things, hard things that happen to us. In our
Mm-hmm.
society, we kind of learn to like capture it and make it part of our identity and put it in a bag and carry it along, right? And then we get another thing that's very similar to that. We put that in the bag, and pretty soon we're like, we're tired
Yes.
because we're carrying all this stuff that says there's something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're suggesting is that you actually just be like, oh, I see now. I was focused on the things that I didn't want. Now I can look at what was my role in that and just change my focus to what I want more of and drop the bags.
Mm-hmm.
Let
Yes.
it be in the past. If it helped you realize when I focus on those things I want less of, I get more of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then that's a win. Because
Yeah.
the moment you say, I'm not going to do that anymore, I'm going to put my attention over here, completely different life opens up to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was telling Kris that always when she talks like that, it reminds me of that thing where you're drowning in the shallow end. And if you just stand up, then you have clearer vision. You can see there's
Yeah.
much more to life than just holding on for dear
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
not meant to suffer. We're not meant to come here and suffer. That's not what it's about. It's about,
No.
discovering the light, the love, the joy, the happiness that dwells within us, and allowing ourselves, giving ourselves permission to make that our goal, to make that our mission, to experience as much love and joy on this earth as possible. And when you make peace your priority and experiencing joy your job, many things can shift. Your entire life can transition into something
Yes.
that you are happy to open your eyes every single day.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Focus on the more. I keep telling Kris, she's coming up with some pretty sweet swag ideas here.
I know, right? Yeah, look at all that more.
Look at all that.
Yeah, it's true. And letting go of, if there's a lot of forgiveness, there's a lot of recognizing that we were focusing on what we were focusing on because that's what we learned to focus on.
Yep.
Right? Those tracks got laid. I like to think of our thought patterns as being like cross-country ski trails through deep snow, and like over time, because we traveled that route so often, the snow became really well packed down and it was easy going. And we stopped thinking about where else we might go. And then when you start thinking new thoughts, focusing on hopeful, positive, what do I want more of? Giving yourself permission to imagine it, feel it, dream it, be it. Then it becomes, in the beginning, it's like moving through deep snow. It's hard going because it's new. You don't have the pathway down yet. But as you practice, that becomes your new way. Before you know it, just like in childhood, we laid these paths down. We didn't know we were doing it. As an adult, you can lay new paths that support you. And before you know it, you'll be traveling along on those, laughing and saying, wow, this is so much better.
Yes. Yes. And then you'll have even more confidence to start another new track.
Yes.
And it'll just
Yes.
keep and growing and growing.
Yeah. And the effort won't scare you so much, or at least this was true for me. And I know Judy, like the effort won't scare you so much because you can go at a pace that works for you, and because you'll have more energy.
Exactly.
Focusing on the things that we can't do anything about, that we feel stuck over, that we think, that drain our energy, focusing on those things lowers your energy. And then you don't have the energy you need to put into the things that really light you up. But as you start to create paths that are like energizing you, that actually feed you as you move through your day, you'll get to the end of the day and say, I could do 10 more things. And it would be fabulous, and it will be true.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't mean you have to either, right? You don't have to become some sort of robotic, machine, because that's not more joy. That's just more work. We're talking about more good stuff.
Yes. And choice. It blew my mind when I realized I have a choice. I might not always like what I have to choose from, but it's a choice.
It is.
And that's very empowering. Realizing that there's always a choice. Like Kris said, I can do 10 more things. Do I have to? No, I don't have to. Whereas I know, especially as a young mother and working, it was, if I have the energy for it, I got to do it now because I'm not going to have it later. So that was a very new concept for me too.
Yes.
Rest, which is new.
Yeah, we wore ourselves down. I mean, the only time I used to take a break, and I'm sure this is true for so many people, is when I got sick.
Yes. Yep.
The only time I would stop is when my body would be like, you are done. You are going to be taking a mandatory rest break, right? Yep. Because you can't get up off the couch or the bed or where, and I used to joke about it and say, I would push myself to get something done. And just when I finished it, my body would say, okay, you're going into rest mode. And I would get sick like clockwork.
Oh yeah. When I was teaching and coaching, every Christmas break, I was sick every Christmas break.
Yeah. Yes. This is what happens when we don't give ourselves permission to rest, when not just when we need it, but when we want it.
When we want to. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're resting, and the whole time that voice is beating you up, telling you should be doing, that's not resting. I've learned that that's not resting.
It's true. Closing your eyes does not necessarily equate with rest.
No, that's where grace comes in. Give yourself grace, permission, speak to yourself with loving kindness.
And ask better questions. So instead of getting into a mode of like, I don't want to think about this, or I'm not going to think about this, ask yourself, what can I think about that will lift me up? And just wait for it. I mean, sit there with a blank mind, waiting for something to pop in. It will.
That's what a great nugget to leave our listeners with. Great question. Can you say it one more time for us, and then we got to wrap it up and go?
Yeah, ask yourself a better question. What can I think of that will lift me up?
I love it. I love it. The answer will come. Sit and allow it.
Yeah.
Kris, thank you so much for being with me today and having this wonderful conversation. If you want to contact Kris, you can find her at the masterfulu.com website. She's on Facebook, Instagram, and email. So there's a phone number there. I will put all these things posted in the comments under the show when it comes up. And we want to thank you all for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember you're not alone, and don't ever forget you are awesome. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Kris.
Thank you, Judy. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Silveria.